Welcome to the Republic of Me. My name is Ivana, and this is a channel where I share my creative journey and some parts of my life living on an island in the Mediterranean. The temperatures here on the coast never really reach freezing. But since our houses have tiled floors and no central heating, when it hits around 10 degrees or lower, we actually get really cold. Someone asked me in one of the videos if it gets cold enough here for those thick DK or iron weight socks that I knit. And the answer is, oh yeah, not because the temperatures are so low, but because the cold radiates from the floors and our feet can get really cold. Installing our wood-burning fireplace years ago was definitely a game changer for us. Not only does it heat the living room, which is kind of what we actually need, as I don't really like when the bedrooms get too warm, but it has also created the heart of the house. At least for me, the feeling that the fire creates, that sense of comfort and safety, tends to soften any unwanted moments and bring each day to a beautiful close. I try to clean and prepare the fireplace during the day and bring the wood that we're going to use that evening inside. So when the evening comes, everything is ready and we can just pile up the blankets and curl up on the couch. I don't tend to knit too many different projects at once, and since I have finished the striped jumper, I'm currently working on a brioche blanket and a pair of socks. The socks are for my uncle, and I'm not really in a hurry for those, as I have until April when my parents are going to take them to him in Belgrade. Before I forget, because pretty much every time I record, I tend to forget something. And I have a list now of what I want to talk to you today. But before I forget, in the last video, I showed you this yarn that I was planning to pair with Drops Alpaca in burgundy color in order to make probably half and half triangle wrap. It's this yarn. And I was asked in the comments what yarn is this. This is from World of Wool, and it's York stone base in sport weight. So I think it has 350 meters per 100 grams. It's a mixture of, I don't know now the percentages, but it's the mixture of blue-faced Leicester, alpaca and Shetland wool. And I think it's because of the coloring of the video that in the comments people thought that it was grey. It is greyish, but it's greyish beige. It's that kind of light muted oatmeal color. It's greyish beige. So it's York stone base from World of Wool, and I'll put the link in the description. So okay, so now that that is done, okay, let me see what's next. Okay, yes, I finished the striped jumper that I was knitting, and it came out nice. There are some things that I'm not happy with. There is something off a bit here on the neckline, And this is the model that I like the most, and I keep on knitting them. This is the model that I keep on going for and wearing. But in the other ones that I have made, the neckline somehow set a bit better. This one sits nice. It's nice. It came out nice. There are no complaints. It's just something is a little bit off here, in my opinion. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but it's just how I see it. Like, it's a bit stretched here, but really I could be just like finding very small complaints. And another one is that at the back where I was joining the yarn to do the stripes, you can actually see the connection. Either it's a jog, and I know that there are these jogless methods, but I've never knitted a striped jumper before, so maybe for the next time I'm going to use it. It's not a big deal, but it does show a little bit. Otherwise, it's lovely. But yes, there is another one thing. I told you that when I was knitting it, it was because I already knitted a white one, a white jumper in this yarn, which is drop snored. Both white and the black are drop snored. And I really like the yarn, but the white one that I knitted, because it didn't work out, I decided to frog it. But instead of frogging it and washing the yarn and drying it and then using the yarn, I started unraveling it from the old jumper and knitting straight away. So the stitches, they're not perfectly even. If you see here, I don't know if the camera is going to be able to pick it up, but I showed it last time and I thought that it's going to sort itself out in the blocking, and it did in most of the places. However, it's still a bit holy and uneven in certain places. And the reason why I know that it's not necessarily the yarn, but simply the way that I was knitting it, is because when I made this watch using this yarn, using the same needle, which is the 3mm needle, look at it. It came out beautifully. So the yarn came out perfectly even and it fluffed up. It's not a big deal at all. It's a lovely jumper. But I know from now on that if I want to reclaim the wool, that I should, in my case, unravel it, wash the yarn and knit with it again. So this one here is, the white one is drop snored in white. And this one here on the top is this Yorkstone yarn that I showed you. Let me bring it closer again. Not the very top, but this one here. The very top, I started swatching with 100% cashmere, and this one at the bottom, because they're all the same weight. This one at the bottom is also from World of Wool. I forgot the name of the base, but it's 100% Blue Face Leicester. With little nips, with tweed. I don't know if those bits are different fiber, but the yarn is Blue Face Leicester, and I still haven't knitted anything with it, but it's lovely. I will do in the future. I've been working because I finished the jumper. I've been working on a pair of socks and as well as a brioche blanket. Having too many whips at the same time stresses me quite a bit, and I know it's all relative, but I tend to work on 2 or 3 projects at one time. So I tend to usually have a garment, a pair of socks, and a long-term project like a blanket. So that way there are 3 different ones that I can just pick up whichever I feel like knitting, but I don't feel too overwhelmed. So at the moment I'm working on a pair of socks. They're from my uncle. And my uncle, since my auntie died 2 years ago, he organized his life pretty well, and I take my hat off to him, because this is a man, pushing 70 almost, and every weekend he joined a mountaineering association in Serbia, and every weekend he goes and he hikes and he visits different mountains around Serbia. So I wanted to make him a pair of wool socks that are sturdy enough. So I'm using a strand of sock yarn, fingering weight, and a strand of this mohair blend that I was showing you a couple of videos ago with all the socks that I have knitted. Now, the reason why I was telling you about mountaineering and because I want the socks to be dense so they can hold up from him hiking all the time. So I'm actually using 2.5 millimeter needles for these two yarns together. And it's tough on my hands, but I'm going to power through this because I want them to be dense and strong so they don't fall apart the first time that he goes hiking. Yeah, so the fabric is coming out lovely, but as I said, it's a bit hard on my hands. And at the moment I'm decreasing for the toe, and then afterwards I'm going to knit another sock and then insert the afterthought heel. My parents are going to Belgrade, I think end of March, end of next month, beginning of April. So they are going to take it to him. So I shouldn't have any problem finishing it because I still have a month left and I'm almost done with the first sock. So that's one thing that I've been working on. And the second thing, I've been working on a brioche blanket, but I will show you that in a bit towards the end, because I thought this is a good time because I'm talking about a blanket, and I already told you a few videos ago that I'm going to show you some other blankets that I have made. I'm going to take you through a few of them, starting with the oldest to the newest one. Now, these are definitely not all the blankets that I have knitted. A lot of them I don't have anymore. They were given as gifts or they were made as gifts. But these are some of the ones that I have kept for myself or just knitted for us. The oldest one is actually not knitted. It's crochet. I didn't clean it for a while now, so it probably has fluff on it and different things because it's been in the basket with the other wool blankets. This is done in acrylic yarn, paint box yarn that I got in Lovecrafts. And if I remember, I'm going to link that as well, but I didn't put a star next to it on my notes, so I don't know if I'm going to remember. Okay, so this is a crochet blanket. I'll try to get up and show you. So it has these baubles as well as this. This is really not working out. I'm all over the place. And as well as this kind of granny square motif, which I have found a tutorial. Let me try to go back a bit and show you a bit better. Okay, so it starts from here with some baubles. I have kind of improvised most of it except these granny squares that I have found tutorial on YouTube, and if I find it, because I did this years ago, I'm going to link that as well. I do remember, however, that there was a slight mistake in the video that she kind of skipped one portion, but I think that you would be able to notice. I don't know if she has fixed the video, but from what I remember, that's the case. And if I can find it, I'm going to put the link for these squares. It's a video tutorial. So I have started off with here with these baubles, and then it moves on to the squares, and then the rest, it's really a single crochet with certain you know, lines of baubles in different color and stripes. Okay, and let's see how we can do this. If somebody saw me standing on the couch like this, but nobody's at home. Now the yarn, paint box yarn, acrylic. I don't like to use acrylic, and it's not really the ethical side of it. I mean, yeah, that comes with that as well, but I don't like the feel of acrylic yarn when I'm knitting. But if it's a nice acrylic yarn, the same with cotton. I don't like the feel of cotton when I'm knitting. But if it's a nice acrylic yarn or nice cotton, I actually don't mind crocheting with it. And this one, paint box, I think it was in Aran weight. It was lovely to work with when I was crocheting with it. But looking at it now, even though I have knitted this some years ago, but I haven't really used it a lot, and I don't know if it held up well. I actually don't think it did. So I'll see when I wash it and kind of clean it with a cleaner, and I'll see how it's going to look then. I don't really use it because I also don't like when blankets have holes in them. However, it does look beautiful. It looks lovely, and yeah, it looks lovely, but I'm not using it. It's just staying in my basket. So that is the oldest one. The rest of them are knitted. Okay, so the next one I have shown you, it was a while ago, maybe 2 years ago or so, but I have shown it on the video. I called it coyote yarn, and it was made out of, I knitted it out of my handspun yarn. This is the yarn that I blended, and it has everything in it. It had alpaca, llama, blue-faced Leicester, merino, Coriadel. I don't know if it had anything else, but I had blended it on my drum carder and spun a single ply yarn and made a garter blanket with it. This was such a pleasure to work on, such a pleasure to work on. But because being single ply yarn, and anyway, this is what I do like to do with my blankets. I like to felt them a bit after I finish to kind of connect all the yarns together. So this is the blanket. I don't think there is really need for me to get up and show the rest of it because it's all the same. This one is sitting right here in the living room, and I use it all the time, and I love it. And it's all natural colors. None of them were dyed. It's all natural colors of sheep or alpaca or llama. So that's the coyote blanket. You see, if I was a bit more prepared, I would have made notes of everything that I should put the links to. But then again, if I remember, I'm going to link the video where I spin this yarn, so you can see it. It's from, I think it's from 2 years ago. The next one. Yes, this is also a brioche blanket that I have knitted last year, but it took, well, no, I didn't finish it last year. I think I started it last year, and it's my handspun held together with the strand of mohair. I don't have those two with me, but this one I didn't use that much because I have finished it only recently. And that's okay, because this one is going also to Belgrade. My parents are going to take with them as a gift to my other auntie. I wanted to make something for her for a while now, and because this is the last blanket that I have completed, I thought that this is going to be a very, very nice gift. This is brioche, one color brioche, even though it looks marled, because because I held grey mohair with kind of different color blend of my handspun, very similar to this coyote yarn that I was making. And holding grey mohair with it, it created this fabric. What happened with this one is that I have cast on a bit too many stitches, so it became really wide. So what I did, I kind of knitted it a bit shorter, so I'm using it the other way around. Well, not using it, but it's meant to be used this way around, so where the brioche kind of ridges are horizontal. And it's okay. I mean, the other one that I'm doing now, it's also brioche. I kind of did the right number of stitches in the end. But this one is not, so it's to be used this way. However, it looks really nice. And it's very soft. So this is going to go to Belgrade, to my auntie. Now, the last one, no, not the last one, there is two more, but they're both works in progress. The one that I'm working on now is also brioche. Now, again I have cast on wrong number of stitches, because with the blankets I can never really estimate well, especially with brioche. And I have cast on too little stitches. I think I did 120, and then the blanket was, oh, here it is, the original one. So the blanket was only this wide, and I do like them because this one, I do like them to be a bit wider, so I can, so you can curl up on the couch and really cover yourself, wrap yourself in it. So instead of going on, and since at the moment I realized that it was a bit too narrow for my liking, I took the needles out and I cast on, instead of 120, 160 stitches, and I'm using 5.5 millimeter needles. So now I started knitting it, and I'm knitting it from this one, the thing that I told you that I shouldn't do, that I did with this jumper. I'm knitting it from this blanket, but with the blanket it's okay, they're not, and the mohair is filling it in. First I'll show you the yarns that I'm using. The yarn in the end looks like this. And this is two of my handspun yarns, one being a single ply merino, and the other one single ply Shetland and Tussar silk, and this mohair blend that I have. So it's these three yarns, and I went to do because these are single ply. I started knitting holding 3 strands at once, and it was getting a bit complicated. It was the yarn was everywhere. So I used my e-spinner and I have plied them together into this yarn like that. And now I'm just knitting from it as a single strand of yarn that blended these 3 fibers together. So this is how now it's only the beginning. I would like this year to knit 2 of these blankets. One as is, the merino, the Shetland and silk, and the white mohair. And the second one, I would like to use the same merino and Shetland, but I would like to use black mohair and to see the difference that it creates in fabric. Well, this is the fabric that it's creating. There is something about brioche blankets, there is this squishiness, and they're just so cozy. And I also really enjoy one color brioche, and I find it very relaxing and meditative. So I do like to, this is the third brioche blanket that I'm making. There was another one which I have shown in one of the videos, but that one went to Washington State, to Alex's godfather. When he came over here last April, I gave it to him to take with him. So this is the brioche blanket that I'm working on now, and it's a long-term project. The last one is also a very long-term project, but I think it's going to be even a longer-term project because I started it not even last year, so not 2022, it was in 2021. It was it's a garter stitch blanket that I'm using many different bits and pieces of yarn that I have, and I have a full bag of just random little bits of yarn, and I'm holding 2 strands. They're approximately like fingering weight. Most of them are my hand spun. They're approximately fingering weight each, and I'm using it on 4.5 millimeter needle. I'm using 4.5 millimeter this wooden Lykke, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, needles. And this is definitely a long-term project. I wanted to frog this one many times because I don't like having projects that are so long unfinished. Not because I want the product, but because having unfinished objects stresses me. And I wanted to frog it many times, and every time I say, oh, you know, you put so much work into it, just continue. And every time I kind of come to that crisis, because it's really wide. It's wide enough for a double bed, for a king size bed, in fact. Let me show you. So yeah, it's really wide. And where I got really stuck, where I kind of really wanted to frog it, is when I introduced this little bit of yellow in the blanket. And I really did not like that. I still don't like it because there is no yellow anywhere else. And it was really bothering me. And you're probably going to say you're crazy. Or my mom said, are you serious? You're going to rip it just because of that? But it was really bothering me. But now I'm starting to get used to it, and it's not bothering me as much. So I don't think I'm going to rip it, but you never know. I keep on going. I mean, I'm going whenever I have time on it. Usually it's when we watch movies with the kids. I sit on the leather chair while everybody else is piled up on the couch, and I work on this blanket. But I don't get too much done. I only do, I don't know, maybe 10 rows throughout the whole thing because this is massive. But when it's finished, it's going to look really nice. Let me show you. So until now, if I put it on the floor like this, it comes up to my chest. However, it's still much wider than it is tall. If I get fed up, I might knit it just above my head, felt it slightly to connect the fibers like I did with the coyote blanket, and then turn it this way around so the stripes go vertical rather than horizontal, and have it as a couch blanket or for a single bed. But if I feel like it, I'm just going to continue, and if it takes another couple of years because I'm doing other projects, then I'm going to have a massive blanket in all these marled colors, and most of them, probably like 95% of them, are my hand spun. A couple of videos ago, I've asked you to give me some questions that you might have that I could answer in the following videos. And one of them was, and it's not just now in the previous videos that I got, this is a question that I've been getting throughout the time that I was on YouTube, and it's about the music that I use. The music that I use is from a subscription service. It's a paid service, Epidemic Sounds, and I will put the link to that as well. If you like the music, I usually choose from acoustic section, and I do believe that you can listen to the music for free on their website without paying the subscription. However, if you want to use it in your videos or for your social media, it's a monthly paid subscription.